What's going on, people? It's Mr. Door back again with the review show. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, we're reacting to yesterday's game that ended Aston Villa 4, Nottingham Forest 2. If you are new to my channel, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment below, people, how you feeling about yesterday's game. And before we do start, where is it? Yes, my sponsors to my channel is Paul Wright, Plumbing and Gas. If you want any plumbing and gas work, it's just weird. I know I'm just weird with all this nonsense now. Please contact Paul. Link is in the description. Like he's a Forest fan as well. Look at Steven's enjoying it. Please get in contact with Paul. Like I said, he's a big Forest fan. He follows home and away, and he's kindly sponsored my channel to the end of the season. So, like I said, family or friends or yourself, anywhere in Nottingham, Mansfield area or anywhere around England, UK, get in contact with Paul. The link is in the description. Right. Let's get back. Right, we're back now. Right, so people. Let's talk about yesterday's game, but let's get the panel in first. First of all, let's start with a good look into the ugliest one. The good looking first. Ellie, how you doing? No, Steven's the good looking one. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, Ben. Finally recovered after yesterday, but we'll get to that now.
Are we allowed to say where you sat yesterday, or did you keep your
of course, yeah. Tell the viewers, yeah.
Where did you sit?
I sat in the Sangare stand, but not in the Forest end, unfortunately.
Yeah, how did you feel?
It was torture. It's like someone ripping my fingernails out. Yeah, with the players. Yeah, but I'll get to my experience in a bit. Yeah.
Next up, we got the Ellie. How you doing, Ellie? Ellie.
Hi, I'm good, thank you. I'm feeling
Late reaction.
positive considering. Oh no, don't tell me there's a delay.
There's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, I think Ellie's sponsored by Welsh Wi-Fi tonight. I think.
Are you delayed out, Ellie?
I even bought like the posh Wi-Fi as well. I went bougie with it.
Well,
and
you better tell your dad. You better tell your dad to pay you some more Wi-Fi money. Then is that all right? Mola, you watching? Make sure Ellie gets better Wi-Fi.
Can you hear me now? Is it like in a normal? I can hear you fine.
No, but it's delayed. It's like 10 seconds. But it's fine though. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Next up, is this guy here. This guy is he think he's good looking, but he's not. I prefer K.
Obviously, you think that because you keep saying it.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to give some props. That's all. we got the man himself, Des. How you feeling, Des? After your run.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good myself. I've had a good Sunday. Saturday weren't quite so good because that was absolutely pathetic.
Oh, Dave, man. Oh, people in the chat, just so much to talk about as well. Before we do, Des, talk about your coast-to-coast run that you're doing so people can donate.
Yeah, if people won't mind getting behind a challenge I'm doing this year in August, I'm taking on an 192-mile run in 7 days from coast to coast, west to east, finishing in Robin Hood's Bay. People might know I do a lot of running and activity and got a running group here in Nottingham at Trent Bridge, just by the football ground. But this is getting right out my comfort zone, taking it to a complete different level and doing ridiculous amounts of miles. I'm training at the moment, really upping it this week. I've done nearly 60 miles running, and it's killing me. I've got to do 192 miles in a week. So I was actually out on Friday night doing 60 miles just because I was going to football yesterday. And I had something on today as well where I went to do some mountain climbing. But it's all for Footprints, great charity. Lots of Forest fans support them. They help children with conductive educational needs, people that really need it, and it's really inspiring stuff. So if you can get behind what I'm doing and them, that'll be absolutely amazing. And thanks for helping me along with that door as well.
No one, friend. Like I said, it's in the top link, please. And like I said, anything donate towards Des. Des has been really working very hard. Follow his Instagram.
And because I've lost some weight, I've got better looking.
Who told you that?
Ellie.
Oh. Ellie, be honest.
Steve, I meant digging the hole now, aren't I?
Yeah, yesterday seeing you Des, I was, oh my god.
People in the chat, how much? Right, let's keep it real. People in the chat, out of 10, how do you rate Des? Let's keep it real. Be honest. In the chat.
Is this Tinder or something?
No, I'm just saying. You just said you're good looking. So people in the chat, how much do you rate Des out of 10? I'm just getting out there. But
I'm glad I can't see the comments.
Let's go through the chat as well. YouTube people. Hadi, evening, Mr. Dor and Rez, legends as well. Davey, another legend. Hi, Ben, Des, Elliot, Steve. Hope you're good first. We're always good, despite yesterday's result. Colin, evening. Hope you're well. We're always all right. And I met this legend before we met the game yesterday. Hi, guys. I met you yesterday at Villa Park, Ben. Disappointing result. We need to improve and quick and move up the table too. So, but that's what we're going to talk about yesterday, about yesterday's game. But yeah, okay. Nice meeting you before the game. I think he's from Wolves, the Wolves area, I think, the Birmingham area as well. Eve, always a legend. Good evening, Mr. Des and Steve. Hope you're well. Can I see you before the game on Saturday before Ben? I started off Matty Cash, and that's it. Go on, Ellie. You mean Eve? No, I'm not meeting Eve. No, I've had enough. I'm joking. Don't take it literally, please. Don't take it literally. I will meet you before the game. Lee, good evening, ladies and gents. Still positive to buy tomorrow. Can't wait for Wednesday. I can't wait as well. After Man U lost to Fulham as well. Right, who should start with? All of us went to the game. It's crazy. All of us went to the game, man. So, who will start with? No, let's get Steve. Let's get Steve out of the way. What's your thoughts on the game and how was you feeling?
Okay, so let's just fill the viewers in. I was in the wrong end. I was in the Villa end yesterday. So my master experience was putting up with Brummie accents around me. No disrespect to Brummie people watching, but up the Villa, and it was just like, it was watching the build, and I was sitting there, and the game started, and I thought, come on now, just settle in. And then we went 1-0 down within 4 minutes, and I was just like, here we go. And I thought there's going to be a cricket score, Ben. The way it started. Where do I start? Dissect the game. Nia Cartey's not a left back. Let's get out of the way. Bailey absolutely tore us to shreds down that side. All the 3 goals came from that side. Him and Matty Cash had a field day. Yeah, how easy was it for Villa? Obviously in my experience from their end, I don't think the Villa fans could believe how easy it was. And I mean, the 3 goals were just pathetic from our point of view. The first 40 minutes was just, I think, the worst we played under Nuno. Let's get out of the way. That's my opinion, since he's coming to the club. The last 5 minutes of the first half, yes, we got the goal back. And then when Gibbs White scored, which how I didn't jump up and started celebrating, I do not know. But, I withheld that. And then Alanga went through, and my heart just went into my mouth. I thought, oh my God, he's going to score here and make it 3-3. And he dragged it wide, and then we just give a stupid 4th goal. That's schoolboy stuff you won't see on a Sunday morning. It was just pathetic, wasn't it? We give the ball away in a stupid area. We're still in the game, and then the game just died at 4-2. Villa were in control. McGinn and Louise was just controlling the midfield. They hardly broke the halfway line. They were just playing on the back, playing in midfield. We had 1 or 2 little half chances. Hudson-Odoi, which I thought he had an off day, but he did have 2 chances, which he put in row Z. And then he tucked inside and put it straight down Martinez's throat. Either side of him would have gone in. Yates had a half chance over the flick over the top. But when I was sitting, he kind of flicked his foot at it and it just went wide. But that's it, Ben, really. It was hard. It was a hard watch for me sitting there amongst all the Villa fans. But yeah, the first 40 minutes, I'd rather forget, because that was really bad. I'm just glad the positive I take out of the game, we've got to put a positive out of everything. We showed a bit of fight. We got it back to 3-2. We could have made it 3-3 if Alanga took the chance. And I thought, another thing, Nuno spotted the fault, and he did change it, which I give him credit for. He was brutal. He took off Felipe, Murillo, and help me out, Taiwo. Yeah. Which I thought could have been a bit of a tactical, could have been more of a look after him, maybe had a tweak. We don't really know with the Taiwo thing. He looked off anyway yesterday, Taiwo. But for me, the first 40 minutes, really bad. really bad. But that's and I think Bailey just tore us to shreds. But it just shows when we brought an actual left back on in the second half. Did you notice he didn't have as much freedom as he did in the first half? And that just shows you've got to play players in a position.
100%. Ali, what's your thoughts on this today?
I think it was, like I said, the first 40 minutes were absolutely awful. When we went 3-0 down, I think all of us were thinking, oh my gosh, it's another Fulham. Here we go again. Not ready for that. I think bar Nico Williams, every single player kind of went in with the wrong mindset. I was hearing a lot of people talking about how we should approach this game as a free hit, which I've always said I just don't believe in free hits.
I don't believe at all.
It's a load of rubbish. Any team can win any game. It's certainly a lot harder sometimes, but we can win any game, and we've certainly got some fantastic players, a lot of potential, and we were capable of winning that game. But in the way that we played and the way that we approached it, we absolutely were not. I also think the lineup was all wrong. I think it's not why we lost. Let's be honest. The lineup isn't why we lost. We made silly errors, lapses of focus. But like you say, Steve, if there's one thing we learned, it's that Nuno should stay away from that left back position. Bless him. But he was really good in the second half when he wasn't left back anymore. And I think as well, in terms of midfield, I think having just two midfielders, was that the right decision? No. But there was actually a lot of positives to take from that, I'd say. I think the fact that we were able to be resilient, we haven't really shown a lot of that this season so far. And it was good to see us actually have a go and try. And like you say, I was glad to see Nuno make the substitutions he did. Taiwo clearly wasn't himself, unfortunately. So as much as I love Taiwo, I think it was absolutely the right thing for him to come off at half time. But there was a lot of positives. I think the second half was a lot to be excited about, a lot of potential in players showing moments of brilliance. And I think Nico Williams, as always at the minute, looked superb. So, unfortunate result. We should have done better. But given how terribly we started the game, I think we did all right with a 4-2 in the end. Could have won it. Probably should have at least drawn it based on the talent we showed. Approached it wrong. Tactically approached it wrong as well. But in the end, 2 goals. So, okay.
Last but not least, I know Des wasn't a happy guy. What's your thoughts, Des?
It was rubbish. It was rubbish from start to finish. And they were lucky for in a spell. So basically, what's upsetting me most about it right now, as the guys have touched on, the first 40 minutes was diabolical. Nuno says that himself. But what's really frustrating at the minute is I'm almost feeling like it's a tactic to come out and watch how these teams play against us. They did it against Bournemouth. We was 1-0 down within 10 minutes. First half, we seemed to sit back. Against Newcastle and Man United, we kind of got lucky, it's starting to feel like now. At the time it wasn't, don't get me wrong, great performances, love what we did in those games, but we sat back and it seems to be every first half, we sit back and look at what the other team's got. We don't commit ourselves forward, we don't stamp our authority in games, we don't play our game. We're waiting to see what the other team does. And the problem is, these teams are that good and that much better than us. They score within the first 10 minutes and then we're chasing the game. And yesterday, as you saw, against a real top side, that midfield of McGinn and Douglas Luiz was excellent. And then the guy on the wing, Bailey, he was brilliant as well. But that midfield was as good, not as good as you get because there's some top teams up there, but as good as anything outside those top 2 or 3. And we sat back, let them score a goal, and then there was always going to control the game. There was always going to take advantage. And it could have been, if they'd have kept the foot on the gas and we'd not got that one on half time, it could have been 5, 6, 7-0 because we were that bad in the first half. And again, it's just so frustrating that under Cooper, this wouldn't have been accepted. It really wouldn't have been accepted. To sit back and watch teams come on to us, what's the term? Low block, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Des, I had a rule: don't say low block.
But exactly, but we're not hearing it anymore, are we? But we're playing that exact same kind of football. And yes, Newcastle Man United, it worked really well because we fought our way back in and we had the flair and we had fit players. The problem is at the moment, we haven't, as Ellie touched on, Tyro's not fit. And when he's not fit, we've got nothing to push the other team back. Morgan Gibbs-White yesterday, I thought was excellent in the fact he worked his socks off. Not excellent in terms of what he could do and what he could create. He worked his socks off, and like Ellie says with Nico, if the same effort were there from those two players, and what really was really frustrating, I get being beat by Aston Villa, even 5-0 on their pitch, because they're that good a side, they can do it. But it's losing the second ball, losing the third ball, losing the fourth ball. That's a lack of commitment and desire. That's a lack of commitment. And when you saw what Morgan Gibbs-White did after the second goal, that's a little bit worrying. When he called cancel in the midfield and got everybody in and started dishing out orders and discussing amongst themselves where they're going wrong, there's something wrong there. You know, something's not working. And again, just as it happened with Steve Cooper towards the end, it feels like they're not playing for them. They got that goal, and you can't take away from the fact that then when Morgan Gibbs-White scores, you're going to take what you can get. You're gonna. We was all up for it then, and I thought we could have gone on and actually got something, because what again, another real frustration was Villa's biggest weakness was their defence.
Yeah, it was.
Our biggest weakness is our defence, and we play to our biggest weakness, not theirs. All we had to do was keep pressing. That keeper was all over the place, you know, in the first few minutes, and them two centre backs, they couldn't pass for toffee. And again, it felt like we could get right on top of them when they were worrying. And what do we go and do? As we do every single week, shoot ourselves in the foot. Not having a go at Emma Daly. You know, he's done well since he come in. It's just unlucky that it's fell to him this week. But again, we shoot ourselves in the foot. So from being poor, we've got a chance. For being 3-0 down, we had a chance of coming away from there with a point. You know, with a couple of gilt-edged chances, one from Elanga, and then obviously they'd scored and Yates had another one to get back in the game again. But we had a chance to get something, and that's the real frustration. People keep saying to me, Dore, oh, we're better than Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United. Who watching Forest at the minute believes Forest are going to go to those places and win? Because we don't dominate the ball against Blackpool. We didn't dominate the ball against Bristol City. You know, and these teams are in lower leagues than us, and we don't dominate the ball in any game of football apart from West Ham. And what I wanted to see yesterday, and why I was really frustrated, take that performance forward. Put your stamp on the game. West Ham allowed us to do it. Then we look like a decent football side. We look like we could play a bit. When we try and play off the ball, we're rubbish. We're pathetic. And teams like Luton at Kenilworth Road will just steamroll through us because they'll be up for it. They'll see it as a big 6-pointer and a chance to catch us, and they'll just steamroll through us. So it's really worrying right now. I'm really concerned about where Forest are at.
I'm saying, Peter, if you agree with me on the panel about this game, please do. Please hit the like button as well, subscribe to the channel as well, and as well, make sure you donate to Dad's channel, Coast to Coast Run. The link is in the top. Individual players that we'll talk about, and the player I'm going to talk about is the centre backs, Felipe and Murillo. Steve, let's get your thoughts on them too. Are we hyping up Murillo too much? He's a fantastic player, obviously, but his head in again.
Right. Can I just say about the back four then, and the whole how it worked out, right? From where I sat as well, in line. Where I sat was right in line with the 18-yard box, the other end, right? So I was watching Watkins' movement, right? Watkins tore us to shreds. He dragged Felipe and Murillo all over the shop. Even Murillo, and what was happening, because I don't think Murillo was comfortable near Kate outside him, right? Now, who would have said a few weeks ago that we were potentially missing Nuno at left back? Because he has been linking up well with Hudson-Odoi. He does give us that balance going forward. Because I think that would have worried Villa more yesterday, because they were so bombarding us that side. If Nuno was playing, or even Toffolo, who was more direct, left back, they would have been concerned because they had a field day, like I touched on earlier. But coming back to Felipe Murillo, I think what was happening, Watkins was dragging them out and then leaving Bailey exposed against Niakate. They played us. I was watching it, Ben, unfolding in front of me. Watkins tore, Felipe lost his head, Murillo lost his head. And obviously, Des, and then you met the guy I went with, my boss from work. He was the one who got me the tickets. He said before the game, he said during the game when Murillo had a stupid yellow card. Oh,
Yeah,
did you guys see that? Well,
yeah.
I mean, we had cover. Why is he taking what? I think it was Watkins, or I forgot who you took out on the edge of their box. And I'm like, or our box, sorry. It's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's just a needless yellow card. And then Felipe had a yellow card, the touchline where I was. He just lost his head. And Watkins just, I mean, we did rough him up, but then it's roughing up and then it's getting needless yellow cards. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was getting frustrated yesterday. We were diving in. I mean, okay, Douglas Luiz is a bit of a crybaby for me. He's petulant. He's a good player, but for me, he just does my head in, right? And I was coming close to jumping up and going, just get up off the floor. He was doing, it was like, I was sitting there like doing noises like that. Fair play to Nuno though. He spotted it and mixed it up half time because he couldn't carry on the way he was. Because Felipe and Murillo, I think they were just torn to shreds by a good striker though. Watkins is a good striker. His movement is good. And Bailey just, I think, and Matty Cash as well. Like, I mean, we know how good a player he is. And if you ask him about Murillo, I'm not going to judge because he is still just a kid. And only a year ago, he was playing what?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Barely first team football. And remember, Ben, he's playing Premier League football. He's playing against top level strikers. And yesterday, he just had an off day. And I was watching him. I think certain players out of the team, the balance just. We've gone about the keepers. We're on about the keepers today. I know Turner behind.
The goalkeeper soon later on.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this.
And I honestly think the left back of Niakate worried Murillo yesterday and Felipe. Honestly, because I think they looked at it and they thought, oh my God, Bailey's got the better of this guy. And it worried the team. And it just, the whole balance of the team, like Eddie said, the midfield, the balance of the team, I think that game yesterday would have suited Yates more because I think Yates would have got closer to Louise and McGinn.
Don't mention Yates, please, because I'll get fucking hammered for it.
Because I was opposite to Yates last week with West Ham because of the free kick threat. But yesterday, we needed Yates to get close to their midfield because McGinn, who was a good player, never loses the ball, but we didn't get close to their midfield. Like Des said, them two just run the show in that centre midfield. And I think the whole balance was wrong. I think Felipe and Murillo were just upset with the whole. They just had a torrid day, Ben, at the office. A bad day at the office, like they say. And, they'll come back stronger. But, I mean, we're up against a good striker and this is one of the things.
Yeah. Ellie, would you play Felipe again?
I do really like Felipe. I agree that I don't think either player had a very good game. But you're so right, Steve. Like, when you feel completely vulnerable on one side, and bless Niakate, I don't mean to slate him, but it wasn't. He struggled at left back, to say the very least. He may as well have not been there half the time in that first half. He really struggled. So I can understand why they were frustrated. I can understand why they were all over the shop because they were constantly having to recover when Niakate wasn't there or when Niakate was getting absolutely rinsed. But like you say, good players at Aston Villa. Bailey ripped us to shreds. Watkins ripped us to shreds. Douglas Luiz just unmarked on the edge of the box. Why is that happening? How is that happening? Lack of communication, and that, like say, probably comes from the fact that they feel vulnerable without a proper left back there. And don't get me wrong, I love Toffolo. Obviously, Tavares.
You should have started. Do you think you should have started, Ellie?
Absolutely. Would he have got rinsed every now and then for his lack of pace? Of course. But at least he knows what to do. He seems he is more confident and comfortable in that position. And at least Murillo and Felipe would then know Toffolo's going to do the job, but he might get beaten for pace every now and then. So that's going to happen. Whereas Niakate, you just didn't know what was going on. And I don't think he really knew. And that's not me slaughtering Niakate. I think he did a very good job in the second half. I think that was just a poor decision by Nuno. And I agree. I think this was a Yatesy type game. As soon as the game started.
LA, you'll get actually hammered for mentioning
Oh,
Yates.
let them hammer me. I'm so used to getting hate at this point. It's like part of whatever I do. So, go on, give me some hate. I feel like I want it now.
Don't give it LA hate, please. Don't give it hate. Don't give it hate. No, LA. You're not having it, LA. No.
I've had enough of that. Don't. But I think Yatesy is very much a Yatesy game to get in there with their very, very strong midfield. I think Danilo, to be fair, other than the first half hour, which is far longer than it should be, Danilo did play very well in that second half. He gave the ball away far too much, which is silly, but he was very good at making those tackles, winning the ball back. So that was good. But I do think it was a Yatesy game. So I feel like we went into it with the wrong lineup. And then also tactically, like you say, Des, they had a very clear, glaring, not mistake, what's the word? Weakness. Sorry, there's the word, weakness. Their defense. Defensively, they were shocking. I mean, clearly not quite as shocking as we are, but defensively, they were shocking. And I said right at the beginning, I looked at that Morena and any pressure applied on him, he's very good, as we know, putting balls forward. He rinsed us there. But any pressure applied, he gave the ball away. Nearly every time that there was pressure applied. And that's what we needed. And I think eventually Williams clocked that and thought, wow, I'm going to start doing that. And it started to change things. And he was forced to pass backwards quickly or gave the ball away. And we had that where Morena just gave it straight to somebody. I can't remember which one of our players. But the point is, I think we went in all wrong. I think Felipe and Murillo, I'm going to say something controversial here.
Yeah.
And but it needs to be said. I love Murillo. I think he's a fabulous player. And like I say, he's very young. He's got a lot of potential, heaps of potential. He's going to be a star. However, can't head for toffee. And that game yesterday.
I'm saying,
bad day at the office. I think that's just Murillo at the minute. He's young. He's going to make errors. And he made 3 errors, really, for the first 3 goals. The third one was heading. We know Murillo, bless him, cannot head the ball. He's very good with his feet. But then for the first 2 goals, it was because Niakate was a nowhere. And then Murillo's tried to recover it and not been able to put in a tackle or block the ball. But I think that is Murillo. I think we hype him up, not too much, because he's going to be a star. And I completely agree with that. But people need to be consistent with their opinions. And I don't think people are, because he's cost us more goals than people realize this season. A lot more goals. It wasn't just yesterday. It was more than that. But he is a player that is young and he needs to get that experience. I don't slate him. I think he's very, very good. I quite like Felipe and Murillo. I know they struggled. It went wrong in the first half, but they did also have a non-existent left back, essentially. So I know maybe this is also controversial, but I would start them again because I think Murillo is much better when he's got someone with age and experience next to him. So, yes, I would start. Sorry, Felipe. I didn't mean to call you old there, but that sounded really rude. I'm sorry.
No, about Felipe. Sorry,
Felipe.
You know I got much love for you, but I disagree with that on that. No, not for me.
I really like Felipe.
No, I understand your point. With his experience, I think he can't play against the top teams. But teams like West Ham can.
We can. Let's be real. I think sometimes you get outclassed, but yesterday we weren't outclassed. Not to say that they aren't a class team, but we put ourselves in that position.
Yeah.
It wasn't a case of if we go and get battered 4-2 by Aston Villa by sheer class, and they did show class, understandable. But we made silly errors. We put out a weird team. Wrong tactics were adopted. And then alongside that, we made stupid mistakes, poor defending, lack of communication. Heads were down for the first 40 minutes, and we decided to suddenly turn up after that. And like I say, the only player who I think, don't mean to say he's like some god or anything, but the only player who played as I expected him to play was Nico Williams. He gave the performance I expected from him. And, but there are still positives. I sound very negative. There's a lot of positives to come from the game. We showed resilience, and that's something we've definitely lacked this season. I felt like I disagree that I don't think it felt very end of Steve Cooper-esque career. It did for the first 40 minutes. I was thinking, oh God, here we go again. I thought Nuno had picked it all up and, was on the up. But the fact that we were able to turn it around, get our heads up after that, and we did show some fight. Unfortunately, as I'm sure we'll talk about, Omar Bamidele, I think he started really strong in the second half. And then he did that. Bless him.
Yeah.
It was so unfortunate because he actually did start really strong. But at the end of the day, if you make errors like that, it doesn't matter how good you play for the rest of the game. That's a goal that you've conceded by yourself. But it was, other than that, we showed fight. We played way better in the second half. And I think there are positives to draw from it.
100%. Des, let me flip it. And I've not, it's funny, I've not spoken about the new goalkeeper ourselves. Is he the right answer, Des? He's conceded 4.
I don't know. I don't know, because we're not good enough to make teams have to make him make a save. They score easy goals. They score tap-ins. So I don't think we can judge him. Yes, the 4th goal, he could have pushed it a different way, but these things happen. I don't think you can blame the goalkeeper. I'm not overly confident in him. I don't particularly like the look of him, but I don't think he's done anything wrong at the moment. I think there's potentially issues in there. It was a panic buy. But just going back slightly to the thing about the centre backs, what nobody's mentioned yet, and I don't want to sound arrogant and say I told you so, but this time last week I was having a debate with Ellie's dad about holding midfield, and I called it. I said we're going to get overrun by the midfield.
He did.
So whilst the left back was a massive issue yesterday, it wasn't Niakarte's fault that we found ourselves in such a predicament. The first goal, obviously, he got stripped, but then so did Murillo. But there was nobody tracking back into those positions where the Villa players were finding themselves. And I know Watkins got the first, so you'd expect him to be sort of picked up by a centre half. But when it comes to the second and third goals, where's the midfield players? Because none of them are good enough to play that number 6 role. So again, when Tyro's not there, we've got a massive problem up front. When we've not got that number 6, and I don't think Sangare is the answer at the moment. Hope he comes back all guns blazing. But we've got a massive issue because there's no protection. There was absolutely no protection. So we're questioning Felipe and Murillo. Murillo played brilliant against West Ham. I said last week again, his best game, in my opinion. It looked mature. As Ellie touched on, you're going to get that inexperience. You're going to get that inconsistency from him, from one game to another, because that's what young players do. And that's, you're talking... Look at the guy who played in the second half. He played really well, and then there was a mistake in him as well. So you're going to get that, and you're going to have to play him with a Felipe or a Bolly against a team where we play who put long balls in. Perhaps some of the lower teams, you've got to play Bolly. He's a horse for a course because he's going to win every single header, and him next to Murillo will kind of lead him into doing other things. So I think yesterday, I think we're being a bit harsh on the centre-backs. Yes, they didn't play well, neither of them, and they got themselves on a booking through petulance, as Steve said, more than anything. Frustration, probably, of not having that protection in front of them. And again, because Villa played with 2 midfielders, one was prepared to go, one was prepared to wait, other than their holding midfielder, they didn't know who to pick up. None of our midfield knew who to pick up because McGinn would pop up on the edge of the box and Louise would be next to him, or they'd work it, or they'd both be there. And nobody quite knew who to pick up because they, on their own pitch, played an attacking brand of football, realising that their strength is going forward. So, again, it's easy to go at the goalkeeper and the centre-backs and even Niakarte. It's his fault for the mistakes, but it's not his fault he was picked at left back. He's a centre back, and yes, I would have played Toffolo. I think he's been a little bit hard done to. Obviously, Nuno doesn't fancy him. A bit in the same way he didn't fancy Mangala. and we've seen him leave. So I'd expect something similar. And we're all not massive fans of Tavares until the last couple of games, but you see potentially what he sees in him now and how it shapes the team a little bit better. The real problem is still, and we're still saying it, 18 months into the Premier League, we've not got a number 6, because the number 6 in the Premier League is such an integral player in the team at protecting your defence, but also moving it forward and creating those attacks. And there's just no link up there. So when you've got a near Karte, for example, where Tavares has been working with Callum Hudson-Odoi, that didn't work. Do you know, the other side, Elanga was very poor in the first half.
Yeah, he was.
Not poor, he didn't touch the ball. He just didn't touch the ball. So again, that side's not working. How do you get the ball out of your own defensive area? So it was wave on wave on wave. And so those players are going to be under pressure. And I just think it's a little bit harsh. And that's why I felt it was so poor. And we kind of got back in the game a little bit by, you know, an opportunist goal, the first one. The second one was a great goal. Let's not be sort of brutal about it. But by a little bit of a burst, we got into the game, and then we reverted back to what we'd done in the first 40 minutes, because they had chance after chance after chance. Do you know, there was one where Tielemans at the post, and he could have like, he had all the time in the world, and he just tried to like roll it into the corner and run off celebrating, and it just epitomised it for me. I just thought there was so much. There's your guy Tielemans just sitting in at the back. What a midfield that is. So he's sitting there, and them other two are going forward, and that just highlighted to me where Forest are at. I agree with the point. Yates could have been in those type of games. I think Yates needs to get in there to mess it up a bit. Do you know? Because he does that thing where he falls on the ball and he wins a free kick, and you know. Because I actually thought when he came on, he had, and I love Yates, but. And I'm not comparing him to McGinn, because they're different players, full stop, and you can't compare players like that together. But he had 4 touches. McGinn, every time, he'd take the ball anywhere. It didn't matter if there was a player on his shoulder. It didn't matter if he was facing his own goal, on the touchline, in the middle. He'd just get the ball and he played it away. He'd get the ball and he'd play it away, and he'd make a run forward. He'd get it out to the wing and he'd get forward, and that's all their midfield did. And what we were doing, too many touches and giving it away needlessly. The balance in there is so wrong at the moment, do you know, because we haven't got that number 6. I said last week, I like Danilo more as a sort of attacking midfield player, and I don't think that's what he is, but that's what I like him. Towards the end of last season, he looked excellent playing off Morgan Gibbs-White, and then with Taiwo right up top. And I just feel like we've got something missing in there. And Nuno's obviously got his hands tied behind his back on that one. So whilst I was a bit critical about the Steve Cooper thing before, he has got his hands tied because he's been left really, really short with players. And going back to your original question to me, goalkeeper is just a classic example of that. He would dealt 2 goalkeepers who he doesn't rate, can't save, won't save, you know.
Can't save, won't save.
And then he has to go out and buy another one. So I don't think we can have a go at Sells. You know, again, I'm not overly confident he's going to be a success, but I don't think we can have a go at him, because these teams are scoring too easy for it to be his fault. You know, when Ollie Watkins is on the line and taps it in, and they're tapping it into the bottom corners, no keeper's going to save those. The goal's so big, keeper can only do so much.
100%. I was going to go through the comments as well. Where is it? So shout out to my sponsors, Lefty. Danilo should never have started. He played played 1 game out of 5. His ball passing is horrendous at times. I have played Yates to get stuck in and slow them down. Am I allowed to talk about Yates, or am I going to get absolutely slaughtered? Okay, I'm going to talk about Yates. Yeah, I agree. I would have played him alongside Dominguez, because Danilo wasn't great for me. But yeah, I
thought Danilo had a decent-ish game. I think he did give the ball away too much.
He had the ball way too much easy for me, Ellie.
But in terms of, like you're saying, Des, in midfield, we're just lacking that sort of player that gets stuck in. Well, we have Yates here, but apparently we just don't ever want to play him. But we had Danilo. I agree he's better going forward, generally speaking. He definitely didn't show us that yesterday. He just kept giving the ball away silly like Morgan Gibbs-White did. But he did actually recover the ball a lot. A lot of the times tackles were being put in yesterday. A lot of the times we were turning over possession. It was actually Danilo randomly. I didn't expect it. And it was only I started noticing it. I was like, oh gosh, it's Danilo again. And he did have like 30 minutes where he was shocking. Don't get me wrong. But that second half, he did pick up the pace a little bit. But I agree. I think Yatesy should have started. I think why not all of them? I think with their midfield, why not all three?
Yeah,
I think though, like the point the guy on the previous comment made about slowing it down, that's the pure reason he should have started. Not for more ability, not for technical ability. You looked at McGinn and Louise, and for me, and I know we're talking different levels here, but they were street footballers, but they were very, very technical. You know, on one hand, they were street players, you know, get stuck in, rough it up. And on the other hand, they were brilliantly technical. And we haven't got a mixture of the two. You know, we haven't got that player who can do a bit of both. Dominguez is diminutive. He's up there in the face. I said he should be almost playing off Gibbs-White because that's what I feel his best position is. But that's what I feel Danilo's best position is. Yates is not a holding midfielder either. He's probably the number 8 in all that. So they've got bits of the qualities you need, but none in the Premier League today. And this is where we're lacking. You have to spend 40, 50, 60 million. You know, there was a rumour of John McGinn going to Man U for 50 million a few years ago.
He was.
And yeah, you don't spend 15, 16 million on players and get the same quality because they've all got a quality, but they haven't got the full package of what a Premiership midfielder needs to do today.
100%. I'm just going to go through the comments and say, what was this? Zach says Yates isn't Prem quality, but I still put him in the team as well. There's another thing I'll talk about. I'm put a poll in because, as you know, the African Sangare, Bolly, and I know they didn't play. We complain about that number 6 role as well with Dominguez and Danilo. But the question is, would you bring Sangare back against Man U and Liverpool this weekend? So I can put a poll in up now. Would you start him against Liverpool? Let me get you in, Steve. Would you bring Sangare back against Man U?
Yes. I'd probably play him more in the week than against Liverpool. And I'd even bring Bolly back in as well. Just get him back in the team ASAP. I think we need a bit of presence. And like Des said, I'm hoping Sangare hits the ground running. I 100% agree with Des as well. The midfield is so important in the Premier League. It links the attack with the defence. I mean, you go through all the teams. I mean, Man City got the best number 6 in the league, Rodri. Look what he does for the team. I know we'd never sign a player of that caliber, but look what he does for that team. And you take him out of that team, and look what happens to them. They're vulnerable. I mean, you just go through the whole. You can go through every team in the league, and they more or less got that number, like Des said, that number 6, that presence in midfield to knit everything together. And at the moment, we've just got too many midfielders who are probably way too similar. And Sangare is the number 6, and we have to get him in the side and hope he just hits the ground running and own the price tag. I know it's not his fault, the price tag, but we all raved about him when we signed him. We just hope that he is the answer. And can I just come back to the game yesterday? Is the one thing that annoyed me, and as fans can see it, we should have gone more direct as well. I mean, they were scared. Like being in the Villa end, they were scared of Alanga's pace. They were frightened of him. Every time Alanga had the ball, you could hear the tension around me. They were like, and why don't we go more direct? I mean, look at the I think it was either a clip over the top or the through ball when he was through on goal could have made it 3-3. I mean, it's just going back to the game. I mean, and again, like Des with the midfield, like you said, Des, the midfield. If we had that player, he would pick up on that, and he could find them little balls over the top or mix it up a bit. Because at the moment, we're just way too predictable in our midfield. We need that presence in midfield. Like Sangare, right? To be fair to him, if we go back to the West Ham game away when we scored Taiwo's goal, Sangare picked the ball up and straight away, quick ball forward to Gibbs White on the attack, bang, square ball. Gibbs White took a shot, Taiwo put in the rebound. It just shows you need to mix it up sometimes, and we need to get our midfield right if to move forward. Look at Luton now, right? They got Ross Barkley running the show in the midfield. I mean, they picked him up on a free. There's rumours today now Man United are going to get him in the summer.
What?
I mean, yeah, Man United want to sign Ross Barkley.
Oh,
I mean,
great.
yeah, it's just, for me, Sangare, get him in. I'd start him against Man United. Liverpool game is, I mean, where do you start with that? I mean, with their injuries, we could be playing their B side, but I mean, do you start him against Liverpool next week as well? Do you just keep him, embed him into the team, or would you guys bring him off the bench now, or would you just start him? I personally would just put him in and just say, look, get in there, sort this midfield out, and you start dominating that number 6 role, like Des has touched on. And that midfield, yes, you have Tillemans, Louise, and McGinn just exposed it. I mean, how many times we've said this? Again, last week with the midfield of West Ham, we were worried about the Ward-Prowse and all that midfield. Again, we're always concerned about the opposition midfield. It's just like we need to get that balance right in the midfield. It's concerning at the moment.
Ellie, would you bring Sangare back in? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Based on what we've seen from him so far, obviously I don't see what goes on in training. If he shows an element of anything, then yeah, I agree that we are lacking in midfield. But why on earth would you start a player who hasn't really shown us anything? Maybe if in training he starts showing something, maybe under Cooper he wasn't. Maybe it was something to do with that, lacking confidence. He certainly was lacking confidence, to be fair, and there is a player in Sangare. But until he starts showing it, you don't deserve to step on that pitch. Because from what I've seen of him, I know there's a player there, and I agree with you. But why would you start a player who's not on form, not confident, when we've got other players who can? And I just think I don't want to take that risk now, and it's a huge risk to take. Will he ever show up? I don't know, because I will never forget that Fulham game. And it's not just one game, it's multiple games where I think he's not been up to speed. That Fulham game, he went missing entirely. And there, like I say, there's a player there. I agree with you, but he hasn't shown that. For me, it's very simple. You play well, you start. You don't play well, you've got to prove again that you have a chance when another player doesn't play so well. And I mean, I guess that's kind of what Nuno thought about. Well, that Lee is rogue. That is rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Just because we've paid money when we start them, I don't care how much you cost. What I care about is what you bring to the pitch. And quite frankly, he's not adding at the minute. He very well could, but we can't take that risk and go, okay, we're going to give you this much game time until you show form, when there are other players who will turn up to the pitch and play well. We are lacking in midfield. That's a fact. But that's where I think Yatesy, whilst he's not got the I can't remember which one of you it was who said how we have individual. Was it you, Des, who said individual players seem to show individual parts of a midfielder? Why not then have Yatesy breaking some legs, drawing the fouls, frustrating the other team? The other teams always hate Yatesy. And I can see why, but it's great for us.
I'm going to hate Yatesy. I've just seen some comments about Yatesy, man. There's what? No, sorry, Ellie.
That's all right.
Let me ask you, Des. Like, I've seen Yates gets absolutely hammered on this, and do you think he deserves all this hate? Like, he come on for the last, was it 20 minutes? And people saying, why did he bring him on? Do you think Nuno should have brought in a more attacking player in, like Reina?
I don't understand why Reina's not playing. What was the point of putting him in if he's not playing at all? On the Yates thing, I just quickly want to sort of make my point about Sangare. You know, I agree with both the guys so far. I agree with Ellie. He's not done enough to earn anything. He don't deserve anything, but he has to play against Man United because no one else has done enough to earn that shirt either. And he is the guy who's supposed to be the guy for that shirt. So, and with Steve, let's see what he does against Man United. Again, I don't like using the term free hit, but in terms of attacking them, having a good go, Man United is a free hit. Let's try and stamp our authority on a game, play it our way, square pegs in square holes, and give it a real big effort, and then see what Sangare does. He's not been performing in Africa by all accounts.
He's not started. This is what gets my nerves. He's not started for. He didn't.
So he's not in form, but he's here. And again, it doesn't matter how much money he costs, but we're told he's the only genuine number 6 we've got. Going back to Yates, the problem with playing Yates at 6 is, yes, he does break it up, he does get in the way, he does do this, he does do what he needs to do. But it's the same problem we had with Mangala, who Nuno didn't fancy and has actually opened up. So I stuck up for Nuno. But when you think about it, he didn't pick Mangala anyway. The problem is Mangala won the ball back and then gave it straight back to the opposition. Brilliant out of possession, in possession, terrible. But that don't align with the rest of the team again, because generally we're shocking out of possession. Mangala was great. Yates, to some degree, is that kind of player. Not at the same level, but it will break things up. He will win free kicks. Yates, for me, is a player to play against these top teams when you perhaps 1-1 or you're winning 1-0, 20 minutes at the end, get in, really get amongst them. For me, Yates is the ideal sub for Dominguez, because Dominguez runs himself into the ground. If he plays in his genuine position, Yates comes on and then he gets in the faces, he's rolling around, he's trying to win free kicks, arguing with the ref, all the little things he does to upset people. And that's how you play him. Again, it's not just about his technical ability, it's about what he does when he's got the ball. And it draws pressure on when he plays number 6. That's why he never, ever plays there. I don't know why some Forest fans think he's that kind of player, because he never has been. He's a runner. He's somebody who runs forward and presses and puts the team under pressure. And that's his real attribute, his fitness, his energy to get about and press. And you see now, since Dominguez comes in, that sort of player for Forest is so important. So again, I just going back to the Sangare point, he has to play and he has to come good. Otherwise, he has to leave at the end of the season, because he's been that bad. If you get £2 million for him, take it, because he's not been a £2 million player so far, and people will call me ridiculous for that. It's long enough now. I said it early on. I picked it. I called it again. I said didn't want to go too hard too early, but this guy's not performing. This guy's just not doing the business. And for me, some of it boils down to commitment, because the 2 times I've seen him play fairly well was against Crystal Palace away. They really linked up well in that midfield, and was against West Ham away. They did okay in the midfield. They won the ball back. They were driving forward. But let's face it, we were playing 2 poor teams. West Ham were better then, but we were playing teams who don't like to bomb forward, who like to play that sort of boring, monotonous build-up game, which allowed them to look like better players. When we're playing against these technical sides, which most Premiership teams are, they ain't getting a kick. They ain't getting a kick in there, and this is the problem we've got. So something's got to be stuck up to find some formula to get them ticking in there.
100%. What 5 minutes to go, people. Please do hit like and subscribe if you know. Make sure everyone, if they can, support Des with his Coast to Coast run. The link is at the top. It's all for charity for Footprints. Is it Des? Footprints? Yeah, Footprints. Lisa Fox is on all that. So please do and support it. The link is at the top. Let's talk about Nuno, because again, you see on social media, me personally, he plays a little bit better football in Cooper going forward. But me, I want to win games. It's not about if you play sexy football and all that, but I want to win games. And is it 3 wins? I'm not judging him. I'll wait till the AFCON players are back. Steve, what's your opinion on Nuno so far? Like, do you want to see sexy football lose games, or to play crap football and win games? What's that's the opinion. It gets my nerves because, like I said, I heard a thing. He plays better football than Steve Cooper. I'm sorry, I did mention Steve Cooper, but I might get bashed for that again. What's your opinion on that?
We just take one stat though first, right? And I hate to go back to stats, but I did see one stat yesterday. Stats. But someone, sorry guys, sorry, my phone went on a bit more then. Is since Nuno's been in charge, we've scored 17 goals. I think someone has said it took Cooper, was it 17 games to get to 17 goals or something like that it was. So for goal ratio, like you said, Ben, going forward, we're scoring goals. But we're scoring 2 goals in games and we're not getting nothing out of them. And that's the worry. You know, how many games we've lost 3-2? We lost 4-2 yesterday. I mean, we're scoring 2 goals. We should be getting something out of games. Is that side of it. But defensively, I don't think we've got any better than the Nuno. Yes, going forward, I agree, Ben. We are playing a little bit more attractive football. We look more of a threat.
Yeah.
Because even yesterday, a couple of Villa fans around me were saying they do look a threat, mind. You know, when we were going forward, that spell we had, we did look like a threat. We do look a bit, you know, we got pace. I think Nuno's tapped into that. I think Cooper the one negative I had about Cooper, he just held the reins a bit on some of these players. I think going forward, like, we do look like Nuno's tapped into the Hudson-Odoi, Langer, Nico down the right, Nuno down the left. We do look more threatening. And we are, like yesterday, and this is not bashing Cooper because I love the guy, but I don't think under Cooper we would have got back to 3-2. I just got that sense. I think we were just, like Eddie said about the Fulham game, I think I was worried it was going to go that way as well. But we showed fight. We just showed a bit of quality. You know, Origi came on. Origi didn't do that bad, actually. You know, we played a lovely through ball to Gibbs White. If the top 6, if Man City had scored that goal, they would have been raving about it. I mean, it was a lovely through ball, lovely weighted pass. Gibbs White held his run. Great goal, you know. So going forward, we look in more of a threat. It's just when we brought Nuno in, I seen a few comments from Spurs and Wolves fans love him, but they did say the one thing with Nuno, and I think Ben, you said it in the beginning, or Des said, we set up in the beginning. I'm not going to say that term, Ben. You know what I'm going to say. I think what Nuno does.
Don't say it.
Yeah, he tries to read the game. And then we come out second half and then we go for it. But we can't afford to do that all the time because, like yesterday, we're 3-0 down. You know, we can't give good teams, especially Villa, a 3-0 head start. I mean, we can't do that. We've got to start from the off. And it's been, since Nuno's come in, I'd probably say Newcastle away, outstanding. I mean, every time we went forward, we looked just like we were going to score. And then West Ham, we dominated that game. And I mean, there's been spells in games. I mean, take away the first 40 minutes yesterday. So I think you get there, Ben. I think what gives me hope is we are scoring goals. I think if we weren't scoring goals, I'd be more worried. And I know we're leaking, but we are scoring. I think eventually, hopefully the goals we're scoring will outweigh the goals we concede. And I think if he gets that balance right of his back 4 and not make the mistake he did yesterday, and also the keeper conundrum is still going on. But again, it all knits in, doesn't it, Ben? Like we've discussed about the midfield, about getting Taiwo fit. And how unlucky we got Chris Wood injured. Chris Wood hitting the form of his Forest career, and then he goes and gets injured. That's just the luck of Forest, isn't it? I mean, if we still had him on the bench, can you imagine how if we had him on the bench yesterday? It would give Villa something else to worry about because I think we would have gone more direct. I think I would have worried him more. At the moment, Nuno's and he's been dealt with injuries, AFCON, the keeper conundrum. I mean, so I think it's hard to judge him on how many games he's been in now. 10 games, 11 games, is it?
Yeah, something along
that. So for me,
how many games we have?
I'm gonna give Nuno a rating because we like ratings on this show. I'm
Yeah,
gonna give him.
We'll do it at the end. Not players. We'll do
All right,
Nuno.
okay, all right, okay. We'll do a Nuno rating.
We'll do
But can I just say yesterday? Like, can I just say yesterday? Ellie's point about Nico Williams again. Nico Williams, outstanding yesterday. I'm not just saying he's a Welshman. Nico Williams, outstanding, brilliant. Again, brilliant performance on the second half as well. The runs he made, yeah. Big shout out to Nico Williams.
Little shout out for Nico. What about you, Ellie? You've not spoke about Nuno. And before we get, I'm not trying to bash Nuno at all. I want him to outdo Steve Cooper. I want him to be the best manager they can do for Nottingham Forest. So if any Forest fans thinking I'm bashing him, I'm not. I want him to do well, but I want to win games. I don't care about attractive football at all. I want to win games and go to City Ground, win games, and go to away and win games. But I'm not trying to bash him before all the door haters pile onto me over there. Ellie, what's your opinion on Nuno?
I really like him. I think, like you say, Steve, we've certainly turned around our severe lack of goal-scoring ability. We score loads of goals. Somehow don't win, but we score loads and loads of goals. And that is, I think, not being able to score is scarier than having defence like a sieve. But the only reason I say that as well is we know that with our defence, for example, we've got Murillo, who class player, but is young and is inexperienced. And how do you solve his lack of consistency? Experience. And he's already, I think, grown and grown. So I feel like defence, we are only going to get better. To be fair, we can't get much worse. But I think as well, he's figuring out his starting lineup. I still don't think he's quite decided on it. Well, we know he hasn't quite decided on a starting lineup. And what I respect about Nuno is he makes decisions that, like we've spoken about yesterday, poor Niakate put in a position he shouldn't have been put in, and he changed it at half time. He wasn't too egotistical to be like, no, this is my decision. He's gonna figure it out, or blame Niakate for make it Niakate's fault when it wasn't really Niakate's fault. He changed it at half time, and I like that. I like that he is willing to adapt when things are going wrong. He won't just, because some managers sometimes are a bit like, no, I've made the decision now and I'm going to blame the players for it. And I like that he does that. And I think defensively is by far where I know we're speaking about midfield, but I think it is defensively, based on severe number of goals we've conceded, is where we're lacking as a whole. And there's no individual players that deserve a shout out for being the reason that is. It's not like this player's weak, this player's weak. It's not about that. I think we've not been able to very often start the same two centre backs. Rarely has that ever been the case. Murillo's just a young lad, and he always plays better. I agree. I can't remember which one of you said it, Steve or Des, about Bolly. I love Bolly. I said it earlier on in the season. Players, whoever's alongside Bolly always looks much, much better. I really, really like Bolly. So I would like to see him play as well. But I do like Nuno. I'm very positive. I know we haven't been winning games, unfortunately.
I want to win. That's what I want to win.
But we look like we can. And I know we didn't. We kind of messed up that little run. Well, I say run. But West Ham was our first clean sheet in 14 games. So whilst we did absolutely, fluff it up again yesterday, we have been able to get a clean sheet. And Aston Villa away, to be fair, of all the games not to be able to get a clean sheet again, at least it's a respectable side. Like I said, I don't believe in free hits, but at least we can comfort our sleep at night knowing at least it's Aston Villa who are fourth. So I'm very confident. I really like Nuno. I think he's learning, he's adapting, and he doesn't have an ego. He wants what's best for Forest, and he's trying to figure out what that is. So I really like him.
100%. Last but not least, Des, like I said yesterday, I rated him for what he did taking off Felipe Murillo and Taiwan. So you got to respect for that, what he did. Because when I was watching that, I thought it was shocking as well. But
I'm not
Yes.
sure I totally agree with that, but I'll come to that. What I said about the team earlier and the way we're setting up, whilst that sounds like a massive dig at Nuno, I am a fan, and like yourself, I was a Steve Cooper fan, but I'm also pragmatic when it comes to these things. He's been dealt a team that's not his team for a start. He's been dealt a shit show with the goalkeepers. You know, he's got players. He's got a number 6 that can't play number 6 and can't play at all. You know, so he's got players who've been off to Africa. He's got strikers in form who have got injured. So there's lots of telling reasons why things aren't quite happening. I think the biggest problem when Steve Cooper was there is he couldn't get the players one fast winger on each wing, Tyro on the pitch up top, Morgan Gibbs-White playing off him, Dominguez playing in behind him. He couldn't get that fixed team going, and he was also persisting with Sangare because he was new. So again, I'm not harping back to Steve Cooper. That's why I stuck up for him. Now I can see all these same problems, and let's make no bones about it. No manager can cope with the amount of individual errors Forest make. You know, the individual errors that happen on a pitch week in, week out is off the scale. I've never seen it. I've seen some crap Forest teams because they get outclassed, right? But I've never seen a team make so many individual errors like this one. Do you know, we've had some poor teams. The last time we was in the Premier League, we got 16 points, I think, or something ridiculous like that.
16,
And
yeah.
and it was terrible, but we didn't make the errors that we make today. Individual, and again, that to me is about concentration and commitment. You know, that's about wanting to do well for Forest, and I've not seen enough of that this season. Last season we had this air of excitement. Everybody was on the same page, you know, and going for it, and we haven't got that. And I just think the manager's walked in to a bit of a shit show, in all honesty. And you see that when I referred to it right at the top of the episode, where Morgan Gibbs-White is calling him in for something to say. I like Nuno. I think the attacking stuff's great. I think that's happening because he's got the right players on the pitch. In that sense, it's just getting them the ball sometimes and getting it up to them. When it does work, it's brilliant. Newcastle Man United, it was fantastic. We love what happened at Newcastle, but it's when it's only working when we play teams that are badly out of form, like Newcastle were, like West Ham were. The United game was a bit different. That was hard fought. Lots of credit to that. So I think there's lots for Nuno to work with. There's lots of reasons why we need. I'm not at all saying we shouldn't start thinking about not sticking with him. Definitely stick with him because there's so many reasons that are not his fault. But what does concern me at the moment is the way we're approaching the game of football, and surely that comes from the manager. And again, I touched on disagreeing with the guys on the point about the subs, yourself as well, Dor. He made a cockle. He had to change it. If he didn't change it, it could have been 6, 7, 8, and then he would have been absolutely.
It was Steve Cooper's fault. Don't worry about it. It was Steve Cooper's fault.
If he'd not made that change with 2 guys on a booking, you know, the 2 guys on a booking, one of those could have been sent off. The obvious thing was to bring Niakate back in the middle, and get him off left back, because then you take one of your bookings away. Even if he'd made one sub, get Toffolo on, because that's where the mistake. If he'd not made that sub, there would have been people today calling for his head, because it was plain for everybody to see, and he would have been arrogant. So yes, a little bit of credit because he did what he had to do, but let's think he did make the mistake as well in the first place.
100%.
Because that guy is rapid, and what you don't want is someone who doesn't quite know the position to play up against him. He's not the best player, I think, that Bailey. His end product's not quite there, but against a player who doesn't know how to play left back, his confidence probably went through the roof.
But did you know, that's the thing, Des, did you notice in the second half, when in the first half, Matty Cash was making the overlaps, because Matty Cash and Bailey worked out Niakate like that. In the second half, when Toffolo came on, Matty Cash didn't break the halfway line. That's the difference. That's the thing. You put in, like you said, Des, they straight away isolated Niakate, and we could all see it as fans. And I'm just glad Nuno changed it half time because we could all see it. It was I felt sorry for Niakate. He was getting rinsed.
Well,
I felt
every
sorry for
single
him.
time they were looking for that ball, even from the sort of right back position, they
Yeah.
were from the left back position. Sorry, they were looking for that ball to get it across the pitch, get it into
Yeah.
McGinn, get it out wide quickly. Every single time, into
Yeah.
McGinn, out wide quickly. And wherever they were on the pitch, it went that side, and they just pinpointed the weakness. And we all
Yeah.
kind of, when we seen it, we was all like, you know, that's obvious. It's like when we used to have Dan Harding, every team used to just play the ball there from
Yes,
kickoff.
yes, don't.
Yeah.
No, don't.
You know, and it was so obvious in that sense, and it's just frustrating because again, you play tough. Who was in form? You know, not the best. We all know he's not probably the player for the future at that position, but he's consistent enough not to make all the stupid errors that some of the others are playing at making.
Because
Right.
sorry, Ben, quick one. Like Ellie said, it showed their weakness is that Moreno lost his head. He got the yellow card, and then they took him off because he took out Nico. And their defence was bad because I felt the nervousness around me when they were playing around on the back. If we could capitalise on that and press them higher, we could have forced more mistakes. Because when Torres went off, because they rate him highly at Villa, when he went off and that Chambers came on, they were like kind of nervousness hit around the ground a bit. And we should have capitalised on that. We've missed an opportunity there because unlike they tapped into our weakness, we just didn't tap into enough of theirs. And I felt, like I said earlier, we should have gone more direct. I think we were scared and more with our pace because
Well,
we had them. We had them in
their weakness, Steve, sorry to jump in again, was their left back. The two left
Yeah.
backs were the two weakest players on the pitch. So, and we had Anthony Elanga, who didn't touch the ball in the first half. Because he's a poor player. He's a poor defender. He's not too bad going forward, that guy, Moreno, but he's a poor defender. And I think,
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else saw this. In the ground, you know, the screen's on in the corner, and they kind of show clips where the TV looks at the manager. You could see in the first half, the TV pan onto Unai Emery, and he was talking to Lucas Digne.
Yeah, he's on the goal.
Yeah,
And he was kind of like having a go at him, was almost to say, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I thought, he's coming on at some point, because this guy is not happy with this guy.
Yeah,
But again,
it's trending.
if we've
It's
seen it
trending
in the stands,
on the internet.
if we've seen it on the stands, how does the football management team not see it in the game and before the game and with all the research they do? You know, so it just baffles me in that sense.
Because did you obviously while you guys sat in the corner, did you see that opportunity in the first half? The only nitpick at Nico yesterday. Nico had the entire right hand side to run in. From where I sat, he had good 20 yards to run in, and he tried to play a first time ball at Taiwo. But again, like they said, Moreno left so much space on that right hand side in the first half. Elanga and Nico should have. I don't know if you guys spotted that in the first half. Nico had the entire right-hand side to run down. I was like, no, we should run into that space. He could have run another 10, 20 yards. And I just, like Des said, frustrated that we just didn't. There was a weakness there in Villa. And like, I agree with Ellie. They weren't light years in front of us. It's just we made them look light years in front of us because of the way we set up.
100%. Before that, I'm going to go comments there. From spot on Des, loads of tricky things with our club, but lads need to gel on the pitch more than cover for each other when we cross the line. Anthony, all the way from Australia. If we got back to 3-3, it might have been different. And then they regretted getting up 3 a.m. to watch this. Bloody hell. I know. I'm David as well, as I wake up as well to watch the game. But crazy. Right, Mick, before we go, let's do something different. Not going to do players. We go for Nuno. So since Nuno has come to the club, out of 10, what do you rate him as Nottingham Forest manager? And be honest. Don't just say it. Okay? We'll start with you, Ellie. Out of 10. In the chat as well. Get involved. There's 51 of you.
Probably a solid 7, I'd say. I think he's won us a couple games, like, you know, Newcastle, Man United, which was like chaos, and we loved it. It is very early on, but like Des said, Des and Steve both said, he's joined the club just in chaos, like, oh, these players are injured, everybody's injured, no one's on form, and by the way, AFCON's happening, so good luck with that. And he's starting to figure things out. I think it's hard to judge him now with where things are going. What for me is promising is, what for me that matters is how he's picking the players who are on form. He went a bit rogue yesterday. That was poor, which is why he's gone down a little bit in my estimations in terms of who he picked. But maybe it's just a lesson learned. Maybe I can see in his head what he probably thought. It's still a bad idea. I guess he probably thought Toffolo's slow. Toffolo might struggle here. He has a tendency to be outclassed against the better teams, despite his consistency. Maybe Niakate, big lad, relatively quick, or in comparison to Toffolo, maybe that's all I can think is what he might have been thinking. But yeah, I think he's done decently considering everything that's been thrown at him. What now that matters? This is where we're going to really see what type of manager he is without AFCON and what he does with that.
I don't know where Des gone. I think when I said Rainton, he's just going, I'm not rating him. So I think he just went, but he'll hopefully be back. Steve, what's your rating?
So take everything into account, AFCON, injuries, even we forgot about the FFP looming over us as well. He's walked in on that as well.
Steve, on the pitch, forget all that on the
no, but it can play a factor, Ben, into managers' way of setting up.
I don't give a chicken out. It's on the pitch. People in the chat, don't forget all the FFP and all the AFCON on the pitch. That's what it matters.
I would say I would follow Ellie's lead. I would give him a solid 7 because what he's been dealt with.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I'm playing it safe.
You got to stick a different one. Stop.
No. I am. I'm going to stick by that 7 because of what he's put on the pitch. And there's been games where I've had a bit more excitement. Don't get me wrong. There's been some games that's had lulls, and I mean, we could touch on. I went to Bristol City away, and that wasn't great. And the first 40 minutes yesterday, but I mean, if we're going to be consistently good and have the best manager, we'd have Pep in charge of us, and we'd be winning every game. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to Nuno.
Every time you go to a game, we don't play well. Do you know that?
Whoa.
Blackpool.
I went to
home. You didn't play well. Bristol City. We didn't play well.
I am on a good 2024.
Yesterday's game, the first half, we didn't play well. Still not just bad luck.
I went to the Villa home game and we beat them 2-0.
Oh yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
sitting next to Sean Dyche. Remember that then, yeah?
Oh. Yeah, but all 4.
So I am on a good 2024, right? I am doing a good game, right? I might be going to Spurs away, so hopefully we go in there. But yeah, for me it's a solid 7. I mean, yes, we are scoring goals. I just hope we just tighten up at the back. I think, we've shown glimpses of being a good team.
Before we get Des, he's back now. Lee says 5. Anthony says 8. God, you've been on a drink. I can see all your comments, but you are making me laugh a little bit. Paul says 6 out of 10. Please don't forget to hit the like button as well, people. Davey says 7. Peter says 7 as well. Des, what's yours? Don't say what Steve and L says. You're playing safe. You do.
No, I'm not going to say that at all. I think, relatively speaking, when he came in, he did a cracking job. He got him ticking to some degree. He got him firing. And after 4 or 5 games, even, of course, we won those 2 big games, I'd have said 8, because we were that bad before, under the previous manager. But the problem is we've got back to being that bad. We've got back to being where he was. So it's probably gone down to a 6 because I'm now worried about plan B. the dreaded plan A and plan B, because I don't know what plan B is, because we keep starting these games in such a passive way, watching the opponents. I'm starting to think, can we do it any different? Because it's just not happening. So this, and don't get me wrong, I said all that stuff a few moments ago about how he's got his hands tied, players playing short in certain positions, key positions, situations with goalkeepers, and it's all a factor. But we can only judge it on the results. It's not necessarily judging Nuno, is it? It's judging Forest on since Nuno's been there, and again, it's probably we picked up 2 great wins, but the reality is it'd have been better to beat some of the teams down there around us than it would the top teams, because they become 6-pointers, and that's what's starting to worry me now, because I don't think, unless a team allows us to, and I don't think the teams at the bottom will, I think teams like Crystal Palace and West Ham get to a relatively comfortable part of the season, and that's kind of it from there. I think playing the teams we've got left to play, they're not going to allow us to play our way. And that's the problem, because they're going to be up for the fight. Everton under Dice will always be up for the fight. Luton at Kenilworth Road are always going to be a tough place. Burnley aren't a bad footballing side for all their frailties.
Did you say Burnley?
Burnley aren't a bad footballing side.
What?
You didn't listen to what I said, did you, before you heard me say Burnley are a good side? I said Burnley aren't a bad footballing side for all their frailties. They can't defend.
Look at the comments.
But they're not gonna let us go there and win, are they? They're not gonna sort of roll over for us and say, "Oh, well, Forest are bigger than us. We're getting relegated." And this is the problem is we can't dominate a game of football unless the other team allows us to do it. And Nuno has got to find a way to sort that out.
Let's go through the comments as well. Chris says 7.5 as well. Andrew, who's a member to my channel, come on, chat. Nuno's Fab Manager, 8 out of 10, done more than Cooper. Andrew, you can look. You can completely. I know you're going to throw the stats at me somehow, but someone will, like they always do. Yeah. Has he done more than Cooper?
Well, no.
Steve spoke about it, didn't he, Cooper? He's not done much.
He can't. How can he have done more than Cooper after 8 games? Was it? Someone said. It's not a diss to say that he hasn't. It's not saying that Cooper's better.
I think just the biggest. You can't compare. You can't say he's done more than Cooper. The only thing that stands out purely for me, my own personal opinion, between Nuno and Cooper, we look more of a threat going forward, scoring goals. That's the biggest thing that sticks out for me. That's it.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing. That's all he's done.
And that's not a massive knock on Cooper. It's just I think we just look like I said, that game yesterday in the Cooper, I think we would have gone and lost 4-5. Yes, we did show that fight because Nuno just smelt what was going on and just nullified it, and then we looked over threat going forward. That's still my opinion.
The problem is, Steve, you get no points for losing 5-0 and you get no points for losing 3-2.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why I want to win games, and it just really upset me about what it is. But it's been a great show, people. We have done loads. We've got way over time as well, but it's like I said, it's a debate, people. We lost 3-2, but it's what it is. But before we go, like I said, Des is doing a coast to coast as well, people. So let me just double check how much Des has raised so far. So far, Des has raised £1,087, and the target is £3,000. So people, please do. The link is at the top. If you can, he's doing the coast to coast run. Is it 192 miles run coast to coast for footprints as well? So please do. Not
bad for a fat guy from Bestwood.
No. He's not fat. He's good looking. See, I give you some credit there. Don't say I didn't give you credit as well. He's good.
Wow, you're literally running from my house to the city ground, because my house to the city ground is just shy of 200 miles. So fair play.
Yeah. So
I've gone to your house in a car, Steve. I know how far that is.
There are. So now you know. You've been to my house, yeah.
can, please support Des. Like I said, he's doing a fantastic charity as well. The link at the top, so please do. I know. I keep saying it's Ellie. All I see is Ellie on TV all the damn time. Ellie, are you doing anything else? I know you do. Go on. What are you doing, Ellie? Anything interesting?
Garibaldi Girls.
Garibaldi Girls, yes. Please do.
The women's supporters group. So that's exciting. I appreciate it's for everybody, obviously with a focus on female fans. But please do get involved if you want to message me, ask any questions, you want to help out. There's lots of exciting news to come. I just can't tell anybody yet because I need to
tell me.
But it's yeah, well, shush door. Don't spill the beans.
I'm not saying nothing, people. Don't go and message me what she's doing. I haven't got a clue what she's talking about. But I won't get out of her because, I was snitch. That time, was it Fulham away? First time I met Ellie, Fulham away, and she's drinking alcohol when she's only 14 years old. So, that was snitching. Listen, people, follow Ellie, follow Des, follow Steve. Steve's not doing nothing. He just comes on a chat, and every time Forest play, we don't play great. So besides Villa at home, so
this is what Stan thought to the show.
Oh, this shout out to Stan the dog. That's the first time I've seen him just not barking. So that's the thing. Yeah, but it's been a great show, people. If you are,
we bored him to death.
What?
We bored him to death like all the viewers.
You did.
Has he been about Stoke away? Is he?
He's been Stoke away. He's been Stoke away. Justin, thank you for watching the show. He's another legend to the channel as well. So thank you as well for that, Justin. I'm off work all week, so there's gonna be loads of content as well. Man U on Wednesday. I'll be doing the review show, the preview show as well. Then I've got Liverpool, so watch out for all the content that I'll be doing this week. Like I said, people, it's been a great show. Before we do go, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Comment below, people, if you have any discussion that you agree, disagree with Des. Not these two, just Des. If there's anything that you disagree with him, please do. But it's been a great show, people. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we can win Man U. I want to go to Europe because that means if we do go to Europe, I'm going to take this guy with me, maybe Ellie. I don't know about this guy because we will lose. So I want to win. I want to win the FA Cup, so we can go to somewhere like Lithuania or something like that away. So please.
The only part we're going to is where Steve lives. Swansea.
Yeah. I don't live in Swansea. Don't swear at me.
It's been a great show, people. Thank you for the panel. It's been a pleasure. See you tomorrow for a new video. Peace and love, and up the Forest.